Welcome back, writers. Today's tip has to do with word placement and how it affects the strength of a sentence. And just like all the tips that I'm sharing, this is just intended to raise awareness about some of the choices that we have as writers. And word placement is one of those areas where a lot of new or inexperienced writers don't even realize that there's a choice to be made. So here we are, just raising awareness about that. So what do I mean by word placement? When we're crafting our documents, we have to pay attention to the order in which we put words on the page. We have a choice. Do we want words at the beginning, in the middle, or at the end of a sentence or paragraph? And think of it like a scale. If you have a sentence and there's a good strong word at the end of that sentence, and you move that word from the end to the beginning, you've shifted the dynamics of that sentence. You've changed the power structure of the sentence. Let me show you an example, show you what I mean. While fumbling with his wallet, the distracted driver crashed into a tree. If we reverse those two phrases, it would read, the distracted driver crashed into a tree while fumbling with his wallet. Which of those sentences do you think is stronger? Does the placement of the words affect the impact of the message? Think about that. And while you're thinking about that, I want you to think about this. And at the risk of losing all credibility here, I'm going to share an idea with you because I think this will be a good memory aid when you're crafting your own sentences, especially if word placement isn't something that's already on your writer's radar. All right, so bear with me. Here we go. There is one profession in the world that relies on word placement more than any other profession, and that is the rough and tumble world of stand-up comedy. Think about it. Every joke told by a stand-up comedian depends on a strong punchline, and punchline is defined as the climactic part of a joke, the payoff line, the part of the joke that elicits the biggest reaction. So let's look at some jokes and see if we can learn anything about word placement from stand-up comedy. Did you hear about the actor who fell through the floorboards? He was just going through a stage. Punchline, he was just going through a stage. I looked at my Christmas tree today and sure enough, I couldn't see the forest. Punchline, I couldn't see the forest. Cross-country skiing is great if you live in a small country. Punchline, if you live in a small country. A guy spilled his Scrabble letters on the road, so I asked him, what's the word on the street? Punchline, obviously, what's the word on the street? And a shout out there to Stephen Wright for those examples. Stand-up comedians understand the power of word placement, and they always put the punchline at the end of a joke. So let's look at our example again. What's the punchline of our sentence? What part of this sentence is intended to elicit the biggest reaction? Well, to my writer's ear, crashed into a tree has more impact, so to speak, than fumbling with his wallet, so I would place crashed into a tree at the end of that sentence. But let's look at another example. This is a quote from basketball superstar Michael Jordan. I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot, and I missed. I've failed over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. Okay, let's talk about word placement. What part of this message is the punchline? What part is intended to elicit the greatest response? I'm going to say it's, I've failed over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. That's the whole point of the quote, right? He's trying to inspire others by stressing that he has failed repeatedly and yet went on to become the greatest basketball player of all time. So, would his message have been stronger if he put that sentence up front? I've failed over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot, and I missed. Which one of those last lines do you want to leave your reader with? I missed, or that's why I succeed? This is a great example of the power of word placement. Okay, let's look at this sentence from a note to a primary care physician. You can't see me until the end of the year? I'll either be dead or cured by then. And I'm sure we've all wanted to write a note like this at some point, but what do we think about word placement here? Let's see what the sentence would look like if we rearrange some of the words, and I'll just highlight one of them so we can keep track of where it is. By then, I'll either be dead or cured, or by then, I'll either be cured or dead. So, 3 different options. What do you think? What's our punchline? Which word placement has the greatest impact? For me, it's the word dead. That's just how I roll. But you're the writer. It's up to you to decide what your punchline is for the message you're crafting. I just want you to see that the order in which you place words makes a difference. All right, let's look at another one. You can experience the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The choice is yours. Obviously, we're talking about 2 different kinds of pain here. One's physical, one's emotional. Let's play around with the word placement and see how it affects the strength of the sentence. The choice is yours. You can experience the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Again, we need to figure out what our punchline is. So the original author of this line thought the best punchline was, the choice is yours. Maybe because it offers some hope or optimism, and that is a totally reasonable choice. I might go with the pain of regret as the punchline. It's not as upbeat, but I think it appeals to a certain, sense of guilt or responsibility, which is a great motivator. Again, you're the writer. You'd need to make that choice based on your writer's ear and the message you're crafting. All right, let's look at one more example, just because this is something that comes up in business communications a lot. Mary changed her focus to research to help advance the company in 2021. In 2021, Mary changed her focus to research to help advance the company. So you'd have to decide which of the phrases within the sentence you want as the punchline, which of the phrases you want to put at the end of the sentence. In my experience, the date is almost never the most important part of a sentence, so I pretty routinely put that up front because it's not what I want the reader to be left with. But again, context is everything, so it's up to you, the writer, to decide. All right, so that's my tip about word placement. If you take one thing from this episode, it is to pay attention to the order of the words and sentences you're using to craft your message. Decide what you want your punchline to be, your impact line, and place that word or phrase at the end of the passage where it will have the greatest impact on your reader. This tip can really elevate your writing. All right, next time we're going to talk about why there is a better way to start a sentence. And that won't make any sense to you until you actually see the episode, so I'll see you then.